Now, all very dramatically, we had a massive storm just start with a big thunderclap and lightning, and it cut me off from the previous chat. So sorry about that. But what I am going to do is try and put a link to this. Can I do that? I hope so. Perhaps Mr. J will be able to put a link from this, or we will ask him. Darling,
yeah.
Do you mind putting a link from my new chat to in the old one?
Yeah.
If you go to my channel, you should be able to find it. I'm very live, and people are saying welcome back, which is nice. Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. About that. As yet, I haven't learned to control the weather. So it was everything went dark, and we had a really loud, very quick rumble of thunder. So I'm guessing it was like right overhead. So that was good fun, or not. So I am, yes, I'm back again, trying again. So here we go. Let's have a little look. Let's see if anyone else is here. So sorry to everybody who had joined me previously and has now found me. Okay. So Tony, bless him, is saying Tony, would you mind putting the link to this new chat in the discussion of the old one? And I think Mr. J is going to do the same, and then people can find us, which and hopefully others will come and join us. If the power goes again, because the storm goes over again, I'm not going to worry about coming back. So I'll say now, thank you for joining me. But if the power goes again, then I'm not going to do a whole series of a few minutes of live chats because that would be irritating. So in the last chat, Jason had just asked me how far down the self-sufficiency line we've got. So in our previous house, we were consuming around 85% of what we had was grown on the site. So that was an awful lot of our fruit, pretty much all of our vegetables, because we adjusted our diet. So we just, we went without some of the things that you would that you might have grown elsewhere, except for occasionally I had sweet potatoes because I really like those. We had pretty much all of our own eggs, and we had quite a lot of our own meat in the form of poultry. And here we've now been on this site for 17 months, and we've got to the point where we are, I would have thought about 85% of our vegetables are coming from the land, but hardly any fruit at all. So fruit is not going to happen for probably another year. Then, so we should get plenty of strawberries next year, which I can then freeze and use throughout the year. We are having some raspberries now, but it's so late in the year, they're just mushy. But next year there should be plenty. We had some pears, but the squirrels ate them. So I think we're going to have to wait until our fruit trees are producing more fruit so that we actually get to harvest it before the wildlife does. So the answer is we're getting there. What else do we do? So we have duck eggs, and so we are slowly getting there in terms of growing all our own food again, but it's going to take time. So I don't think you can ever be 100% self-sufficient, or we can't be, for the way that we live. We like tea, we like coffee, we're not going to grow those. There are some dairy products, so cheese and butter, and we don't produce our own milk either. So dairy we don't produce, and there are grains that we don't produce as well. So we buy all of those in. And then there are other foods which are just don't grow in our climate. So, or they would, but they would take a long time, or they wouldn't ripen, or we wouldn't be able to produce them in enough volume. So things like pineapples, which I think you can grow here, I think we wouldn't have the space to grow a sensible number of pineapples. We'd probably eat one a month or something like that. So I'm quite happy to go to the store and buy those. Right. Baroque Cowgirl Homestead has had, have you considered adding dairy goats to your homestead? Yes, we have thought about having dairy goats. We have thought about having goats, and I don't like them. So it was a very simple, we don't want them, partly because I don't like them, and partly because we would have to put in a whole new fencing system, which would cost an absolute fortune to fence off suitable areas. But what we do have are sheep, not for dairy, but we have got sheep. At the moment, they're just managing the land, but next year they will supply us with lamb. So Toad in the Garden said, is this farm your forever home, or do you and Miss J see moving again? So that's two separate questions to each of us, I think. It is kind of our forever home. We didn't see ourselves moving when we bought the last place. And I don't see myself moving from here for quite some time. But I think there will come a time when this land is just too much to manage on my own, and it's too much to manage for our bodies. We will just get to an age where we will just find everything too much. And we don't have a pension and things sorted out, so we're not going to be able to employ people to do as much as we would need them to do to the land. So sensibly, at some point, we will need to downsize so that we aren't mismanaging that land, I think is the answer to that one. So Sam, hi. Now that says from Shepshed, is that in Leicestershire? Have I got the right place? Is that? Oh, have I got the right? So I know that there is a Shepshed near Melton Mowbray. Have I got that the right place? Somewhere up near in that direction. Are you there? Is that where that is? So you go. Well, the only reason I know that is when my mother was still alive, we used to occasionally go to a health spa, Ragdale Hall it was called, which is up in that direction. So it's one of the villages that we used to go through on the way. So bear with me. Okay, so a friend has just messaged me and I need to answer this. So this is actually, it's a message from Hugh, and Hugh is currently writing the foreword for my new book, which is called The Seasoned Gardener. And he's just asked me a question. So I'm gonna, so if you'll excuse me, just answer him while he's writing that. I've answered his question. So multitasking, here we go. So Alex, I've been trying no dig in the veg plot and have a supply of horse manure and home compost, but we get so many weeds. Is there anything you can advise? I'm guessing it's just not getting hot enough. Yeah, partly it won't be getting hot enough. And so I'm assuming you're talking about you're getting the weeds in your mulch rather than them coming up through. If they're coming up through the ground, get a couple more layers of cardboard on the ground and put your mulch on top. You can even just do that in patches across a bed. If you're getting the weeds, excuse me, in your in the new mulch that you're putting down, yes, it's not getting hot enough. I found that I'm getting an awful lot of dock leaves growing. and thistles, and I'm having to just hand pull those. And I think it's one of those things that you're probably only going to have to weed for a while, but then the weeding should become less and less. So hang on, let's have a quick. DC is saying horse manure always has lots of seeds. Yes, it does. It always has. I mean, the way to get rid of that is to compost it at quite a high heat. Do I? I don't ever do that. I just kind of go, thank you. I have it, and you know, I'll use it, and I'll pull out the weeds, because in the meantime, it's still, you know, it's still improving the soil that's there. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so froggy. It's because it's so long since I did a live chat. Pauline says, what are your thoughts on super soil? Pauline, I can be honest, I don't know what super soil is. I'm assuming it is some sort of treated soil. The answer is I don't know, because I don't know what it is. That wasn't terribly helpful, was it? Right, I'm just going to scroll back a tiny bit. I want to say hello to Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? She's in Cape Cod. Evelyn's here. Hi, Evelyn. How are you? Oh, I was going to say, are you still in Portugal? But yes, you are. And Rev Haynes is here. Hiya. How is it on the south coast? You've put in 3 gooseberry bushes today. Oh, so it's obviously a lot drier than it is here. Sunny's place is here. I'm going to just go back through and say hello to those. Valerie, the foodie medic. It says chocolate. Yeah, I'm on chocolate. Just checking through, so make sure I've said hello to everyone. Oh, hi, Nancy. Helen, hiya. So, Jason, okay, so I hate to do this to you, Jason, I've actually answered the question pretty much. So you will need to go back and have a kind of look at the beginning of this, because the first thing I did was to, shall I answer it again? Okay. So Jason was asking me about self-sufficiency. We're up to about 85, between 85 and 100% of our vegetables are now homegrown. Fruit is much, much less. We're not really going to have any fruit until next year. I don't think you can ever be, we couldn't ever be entirely self-sufficient, because we like tea, coffee, pineapples, bananas, all sorts of things that we don't or can't grow here. And also, what food can you not do without that you can't grow? Well, for me, that's tea and bananas. For Mr. J, that's coffee. And then there are a whole load of grains, I think grains and pulses that we don't grow, that we buy in. We're not self-sufficient in dairy or in meat. So, you know, there are quite a lot of things that we're not entirely self-sufficient in. But in terms of veg, we are back up to the levels that we were at the old house. Hooray. So there are. That was a super quick process. If you want the longer version, it was it's at the beginning of this video again. So Nancy's saying, when will the new book be available in the USA? So the new book is The Seasoned Gardener. It will be available at some point in April in the UK and a month later in the States. And I'm saying at some point because on Amazon it says available at the end of April. Well, we don't know yet what date it will be available. The book is at the stage that is now out of my hands. It's gone off to the publishers. We've done all the editing. They've got all the photographs. Hugh has read it, and he's written me the foreword, which is what those questions are. Oh, look, I've got a lottery ticket that I haven't collected. It was only about £4 winnings. It wasn't very much. But I must remember to do that. And so the book is now at the designer, who's the person who literally lays it out on the pages and does that kind of layout. That will get sent to me to be approved. And then we send it to some of my friends to read and to write testimonials that go at the beginning of the book. And it also gets super duper proofread by professional proofreaders. And then when all of that is done and we've got the testimonials and everything, then it goes off to the printers. So that process actually takes an awful lot longer than I ever think it's going to. I kind of think I've come to accept now that writing the book, actually writing the words and gathering the photographs, is about half of the process. So it will be published at some point in April in the UK and some point in May in America. And you can order it. You can order it. The best place, to be honest, the best place for me for you to order it from is from my website. But you can, of course, order it online at Amazon and other online resources. But if you want to support the author to the maximum amount and get a signed copy of that book, then you need to buy it from my website, bytherfarm.com/books. There we go. So thank you, Nancy, for asking about that. Oh, Valerie was saying the chocolate comment was from your self-sufficiency topic. Yes. Okay, so there is definitely a food I can't grow myself. It's one of my, I was about to say it's part of my staple diet, but it is. So Evelyn's saying she's doing fine. Her renovation is getting there. She's got her dairy goats in and chickens, but still so young. There's no milk or eggs yet. The garden's doing okay, except in the high summer, and it has been a really hot summer, hasn't it? Jason's saying thanks so much. Sorry to make you answer 3 times. Absolutely fine, not a problem at all. So if it's not too personal, you mentioned that after a move your thyroid issues flared up. Have you been feeling better lately? And do you think it's related to the fresh foods and or stress? Okay, so yes, after we moved, my thyroid issues flared up again. No, I'm not feeling any better. I am still putting on weight at an extraordinary speed. I'm very puffy, and I'm not sleeping well, and I don't feel great. My hair's falling out, and all the other stuff that goes with my thyroid not being right. And I've been back to the doctors, and we're now going to have to start the very long, slow process of working out what's the right level of medication to be taking, and then I need to get back on course in eating all the right things, because yes, when I'm eating homegrown food, without a doubt, I'm eating more healthily than when I go to the shops. Because when we go to the shops, not Mr. J, but when I go to the shops, I will buy rubbish because I am absolutely conned by convenience food. I'll go, oh yes, I'll have that, and I'll have that, and then suddenly I've got cupboards full of not the healthiest choices, and I will eat them. So I'm my own worst enemy from that point of view. So once we've got more and more of our fresh food in, the diet, well, it is starting to improve now. And yes, it's also stress related. So none of it helps, and it is all stress related. And the stress is starting to go now. We've had to do a lot of work on this house, so there's a lot of having builders here. We've had all sorts of, we've had a catalogue of stuff that we've had to do, and every time we think we've got something sorted, 2 or 3 more things appear that need doing. But in the last month, we have actually started doing stuff that we want to do in the house rather than the stuff that we need to do in the house. So that is a step forward. Nancy's saying, I've got a thyroid. I'm regulated with meds, but foods do affect me. So yes, I've got my meds level is completely out of whack, Nancy. It's definitely not doing enough for me right now, and I can feel it in everything from I ache and I hurt and all that stuff. It's all really boring. So I am not going to. I'm not going to grizzle too much about it. And we have also got to. Where are we? About we are 6 weeks. Are we 6 weeks or 7 weeks away from the winter solstice? So it's this is the low time of the year for now, for about the next 14 weeks, 13, 14 weeks, where we're at the darkest and the weather's most miserable. And to be honest, once I've put the ducks to bed at sort of 5 in the afternoon, and obviously that's going to get earlier and earlier, most of the time I've put my pajamas on and I sit on the sofa. I stare at the television doing nothing. Some of that is that I have finished writing the book, and I'm just having a bit of I'm allowing my brain to have a bit of time off before I start the next one. And some of it is just that it is winter, and there's something very nice about just curling up on the sofa and going, well, it's dark. I can't do anything outside. I've done all the processing of the food and everything. I'm just going to sit here and rest and recuperate. So, Tony Girl saying, will you do a house tour video once your reno projects are wrapped up? You might be waiting a very, very long time. So, unlike our previous home, which when we bought it had just had all its renovations done, this house needs everything doing to it. So the renovations, I think, are going to take us a very long time. They're going to take us. I mean, you know, it's not because it's going to take us. We're not doing them. Mr. J and I have almost no renovating skills. We can both do a bit of painting with a roller or a brush, but we can put up shelves and stuff, but not the kind of work that needs to be done here, which is some of it's structural, quite a lot of it's structural. There's a lot of damp issues. I don't mean rising damp. There's a lot of moisture coming into the building in various different places. Windows need replacing. All sorts of things that we just can't do. Rewiring, new plumbing, stuff that we're not trained in any of those things. We are not competent people to be doing any of those. So we've got to get other people in to do them, and we can only do that as we earn the money bit by bit. So it's going to be a long, slow process. So there we go. So T says, I'm sorry to hear, great for how poor you feel. I'm just becoming middle-aged and thyroid problems seem to affect more and more of the women I know. Thyroid problems affect a huge number of women from their 50s onwards. And I think it's kind of not recognised, just like what a vast number of people have thyroid issues in both underactive and overactive. So there we go. And DC is saying we do need downtime. Yeah, I think we need downtime. I think it's really healthy to have downtime. And quite a lot of my new book is talking about working with that rhythm of the seasons, working, not trying to fight how the seasons affect us in a good and bad way. Not trying to fight that, just going with that flow. So, so Evelyn's saying, how's your canning doing? Very well, thank you, Evelyn. I've got quite comfortable with that. So 3-4 years ago, I got a canner and it sat in my kitchen on the work surface for over a year. It's like this beautiful shiny ornament. I was just too frightened to use it. And then one day, Tony Stevens spent an hour or so on the phone with me and literally talked me through what I was doing, with me going, but it's making hissing noises and it's doing this. And he's just going, yeah, no, it's fine. So once I'd done that once, I kind of went, oh, actually, it's not that different from using a pressure canner, which I remember doing when I was much younger. A pressure cooker. Which was, I'd done when I was younger, so it wasn't too bad. And now I'm quite happy to can. So, Sorry, reading a question. Okay, so Alex says, you've mentioned on the channel about working with your mental health. What do you do to help you get out in the garden, which is good for mental health? I keep sweet peas growing away in the evening. If I'm not here, or for any reason I can't do them, Mr. J's very happy to go and do that. But basically, I put the ducks out and in each day, so I have to get up at a reasonable time because they want to be out of their house as soon as it's light at this time of year, so that they have the maximum number of daylight hours. And here in the UK, there are all sorts of health restrictions about poultry at the moment in a response to avian flu, and I'm not going to get into them here because the rules are different in Wales to England and Scotland and Northern Ireland, so the rules are different depending on which country you're in. So you will need to check with your local .gov site to check what the state of play is in terms of how you need to keep your poultry. So, I bought a rundown 350-year-old house and we're fixing it up bit by bit. I guess it'll be 10 years before I can call it finished. Yes. That's exactly probably about, I think actually, I think the bulk of it will be done within 3 years. And I don't know if even then that I would do a house tour, because this very much is, it's our home, it's where we hang our hats. If I ever get as far as creating an outdoor workspace, so when we bought this home, that the intention was that I would create office space and teaching space in the barn on the other side of the lane where our house is, and if we ever got around to doing that, then I would be very happy to do an inside tour of that. French Farmhouse Diaries. Hello, welcome. Do you prefer to plant apple trees this time of year, bare root or potted? I like the instantness of a potted plant, but I'm also quite conscious that they can get really stressed when you plant them and they're in full leaf. The bit that I like about planting bare root trees is that they've just got time to settle in and to bed in, and then loads of stuff is going on underground, even though you can't see anything above ground. And when we planted up the orchard here, we put the plants in, and there were a couple of trees that I thought, well, they haven't made it. And stupidly, I just grabbed one by its small little trunk stem and just pulled it out of the ground. And in fact, it had made it, and it was putting out this most amazing, bless you, sneezed, amazing set of roots underground, but it just hadn't produced anything overhead. So I then potted it up, but it didn't make it. The one that I left made it. So there is that risk that that you're not sure whether the plants have made it or not. But I would say if you're going to plant bare root trees, leave them really for quite a long time. So if you put them in now and in the spring it doesn't look like they're doing anything, leave them till like the end of July or August before you kind of go, oh no, this isn't growing, because it could just be doing loads of stuff underground. All right, sorry, I'm just replying. Just tell him I'm just doing a live chat. So you never know, he may appear shortly and say hello. Just let him know not to keep disturbing me. So So Pauline says, do you plan to do any veg growing courses, maybe with you? So on site, yes, there will be. So I started doing courses this year. So I've done a propagation skills course and a soft fruit veg course. If there are courses that anybody wants me to run, please just get in touch and say, can you do this course? Because we can either do it or we can't. Already prepared for spring, for late winter, early spring. I've got 2 willow workshops. One is willow weaving, large structures for your garden, so things like obelisks. And the other one is a willow basket making. So those are I think those are in February. Pretty sure those are both in February. And then in April, I can't remember. Tony, if you are here, could you share a link to my courses page on my website, please? I have booked thank you. Oh, Mr. Joe's done it even better. And it's not any better. It's similar. Thank you. In April, I have got a course that is about grafting fruit trees. So you can come and spend a day learning how to graft apple trees onto rootstock. It will apply to all fruit trees, but we'll be using apples. And then you can go home with 2 trees to plant in your garden. If you want a specific veg course, Hugh and I have delivered a low-cost gardening course before. Very happy to do a no-dig course, happy to do a self-sufficiency basics, a guide to that course. But if you want an absolute beginner's veg course or a more advanced veg course, please just let me know. I'll work with Hugh and get him to come down and do that. So Nancy's saying, any online courses? Well, yes. The theory is I have written an online course. I just need to record it. She says, I just need to, and for that, I kind of feel like I need a tidy corner in a house that is in the middle of being renovated. However, I now do have one wall that is plastered and smooth and tidy. So I could, in the next few weeks, or next even couple of weeks maybe, get in there and record that. So that would be good to get that done. And today I started talking to Niall about did I actually suggest it to him? I was going to suggest to Niall that maybe we did a couple of episodes of podcast, which I haven't done for the best part of 2 years or something. But I just thought Niall and I could just have a chat and create a short podcast or 2. So hopefully we'll get some of that done as well. Bearing in mind that I'm trying to only work during daylight hours at the moment. So, and so that I have that downtime. So I'm just conscious that there's quite a lot of stuff going on. But I also have this kind of passion to, Niall's here. There we go. Oh, well, Niall says that's a good idea. So at some point, Niall and I will record a podcast together or 2. Great. That's good. Alex says, have you done a video on the canning process? So no, I haven't done one. If you want to learn the basics of canning, I absolutely recommend that you look at Jamie's video at Gilbrook Farm. Have I got that right? I'm pretty sure it's Gilbrook Farm, and there's a video called Canning 101, which will walk you through the absolute basics. And she's very, very clear, and she's very, very safety conscious. And it's probably the best canning, beginner's canning video that I've seen. There we go. Jane's here. Hi, Jane. I didn't do a huge announcement. I made the decision to do a live chat like minutes before it happens, and then and then we had a big thunderstorm go over, quite a spectacular bit of lightning and thunder, and it cut us off. So this is kind of the second attempt at doing a live chat, which at the moment seems to be working better than not. So Andy's here. Hello, Andy. Andy, are you happy for me to tell people who you are? Pauline says an advanced veg course sounds good. Well, okay, I will. Let's have it. Okay, I'm looking for my pen, which is that funny? You know how sometimes you have like 20 pens around you, and then other times you can't find any. All right, I'll just remember. I'll have to go back through and remember which it was. So please, could everyone say hello to Andy? His name is Andy Leonard. Andy is our beekeeper, and he's an absolute gem. He is incredibly encouraging of me and supportive when I go, I can't do the bees. So he's an absolute. He has been an absolute angel. So there you go. Thank you, Nancy. I will look at. You going to pass me a pen, darling, please, so I can write down people's. I don't know what I've done with them. I've got lots of notepads, but no pen.
I can tell us the one you used because you left it at.
Oh, I'm being told off for leaving the pen with the nib bit sticking out. Oops. Right. Here we go. Let's write down course ideas. So courses. It was advanced veg. I got to write this down quickly before the chat makes it disappear. And successional veg growing. I can hear the storm has started again. Nice. So Andrew's saying we've had a good crop from the honey this year. We did. We've had loads, and it's incredible. It tastes amazing. So Ivana says, hello Ivana, what would you say to someone wanting to start out on a journey of buying a little land and starting to grow veg with a view to becoming as self-sufficient as possible? I would say if there is any way that you can do that, do it. It's such an amazing thing to do. It's such a privilege to be able to do. I am conscious all the time of how fortunate we are to have enough space. But can I also just let you know that Mr. J and I have been thinking about it, and I know that Tony's Gardens and Gizmos, we've had a conversation about this, and we've been working out how much land you need to become not self-sufficient, but to be able to supply your own family with an awful lot, a really high percentage of your fruit and veg needs. And so we think, Tony and I were talking, and Tony thinks that he needs a garden about 60 feet by 30 feet. So can I work that out in meters? No, but somebody will work that out in meters for me. Which if you're growing quite intensively and you're feeding your soil appropriately, you could probably feed a family of 6 year round on that space. We have a lot of space here. We're incredibly privileged. I make pathways very wide. You know, we have really an entirely unnecessary orchard. The food forest could be a quarter of the size as that it is, and part of the veg garden, much like we had in the last house. So you actually don't need, I don't think you need nearly as much space as people might imply that you do. So I hope that helps. Hi, Freaky Keith saying pens have Harry Potter marauder cloaks when you need them. Yes, they just disappear, don't they? Become completely invisible. So Anna's here. Hi, Anna. Jane says she likes the idea of advanced veg. They're the really clever ones. They are very clever vegetables. Yeah. Oh, Sam, thank you. So Sam was saying he can vouch for the honey. So Sam bought a jar, I don't know, on a course a month or so ago. Yeah, no, it's actually been probably the nicest honey we've had. So I don't know what the mixture is here, whether it's the grass pollens, tree pollens, the flowers, or just the whole combination of those. But whatever it is, the honey has been fantastic. Polar Bear says, what do you do with cosmos after they stop flowering? Will they come back next year if they drop the seed? Absolutely, they will. So what I do is, if I want seeds in a specific place, I pull the heads off when they get the seed head, and I throw them on the ground wherever it is that I want them to grow in that area. Failing that, I pull the whole plant up, or if it's completely fallen over, I'll pull it off. If not, cut it off at ground level. It's not going to grow back from that, but the roots will go back into the soil and help to feed the soil. And then I just put the rest of the plant onto the compost heap, seeds and all. I know that because I do cold composting rather than hot composting, those seeds are still going to be in that compost when I spread it back onto the garden next year after. And that will give us more cosmos plants, more than we could possibly know what to do with. But I would rather pull them out and thin them out than not have them. So Freaky Geek says to Ivana, I'll say start small, grow what you know you like and that you will eat, and have a plot for experiment plants you want to see if you'll like and you'll grow in your area. That's a really good idea. Yeah. French Farmhouse Diaries, just so right, Liz, we're on that journey here in France with 4 acres with our no-dig system. So we've got we have 4.5 acres that we own, and I really only use for vegetable growing quite a small area in comparison to the amount of space we've got in total. But when I measured out the garden, I didn't measure it out before I set it out. So I just said to the guys who put up the polytunnel, can you put up the polytunnel here? Please don't go out further out than there, because I want to be able to get a tractor through the gate. So that was kind of positioned it. And then when in terms of going forwards and backwards, it was like, well, don't go too far from the fence and don't go too near it. So it was kind of just plonked. And then I just said, right, I'm going to put the veg garden the same width as the polytunnel plus that little extra bit there, and I'll just go down that way. And it turns out that the garden is 1 square metre larger than a 10-rod or a 10-pole allotment plot. So it's the size of a full-size allotment plot. And I'm certainly not growing on all of that area. When I looked at it the other day, I actually think I'm growing on less than half that area. So because I've got the raised beds and because I've got the very wide pathways. So you can produce a huge amount of food in really a small area. Oh, Helen, congratulations. She's moving to a new home. So Valerie says, when it comes to grain-like produce, I've had good luck with harvesting amaranth and quinoa. It's very time-consuming to process, so maybe not worth it. Susan's here. Hi, Susan. Lynn, good morning. So when we started this, I said it's probably too early in the day for anyone from Australia unless they have insomnia. So either you have insomnia or you've got an early morning job, or I've gauged my timings wrong, and in fact it is still late in the evening or early morning. What time is it there, Lynn? So we were actually beginning to wonder how the weather was panning out in Australia this year, because I know that you had some incredibly dry, hot years. and then you've had a very, very wet year. And I appreciate that's not right across Australia, but there have been areas that have become flooded in the last year. So I was wondering how this year was going so far. So some really good ideas about becoming self-sufficient as possible. So suggestion here, suggest chickens and perennial veg as you set up the gardens. You have to maintain them on top of establishing new gardens. Yeah. So that anything that you can do to reduce your ongoing work is a good thing, because that allows you to expand your growing area without taking on too much at a time. Sorry, still reading. Roz says, Australian insomniac here, it's 4:40 a.m. That's quite early, isn't it? So there we are. Tony's confirming he feeds about 80% or more for a family of 6 on 2 by 15 by 15 by 80 feet allotments. So that's the same as 1 30 by 80, which is pretty much what we've got for the veg garden here. So very similar size. And then now, so that's either Magic Aluni or Magical Uni, whichever it is. Hello from Brazil. I've got some tomato seeds I want to plant. They're really sweet. I don't know if you have them in UK. I think they're called Tomarillo, but they need lots of sunlight. Does anybody else know a variety called Tomarillo? Slugs and snails eating everything in my Australian garden. It's wet, wet, wet. Oh, that's not so good. Thank you for joining me, French Farmhouse Diaries. You're off for an aperitif now. That sounds very nice. Lynn's saying spring was much cooler than normal. It's interesting, isn't it, how the seasons are shifting. We've had an incredibly mild but very wet autumn. We did have quite a warm summer. We had a few days here and there where it was like very hot. We didn't have the drought here in West Wales that, or at least in our corner of West Wales, that great swathes of England have had. And I'm actually at the point now of just beginning to pull together a video of footage that I took right through the summer of when it was raining, because so many people have said how dry it was, and I keep saying, but we had a wet summer, or am I just imagining it? And I've kind of got to the point of thinking I must have imagined it, and then I went back through my footage and I found videos of torrential rain, and a month later torrential rain, and a month later torrential rain. So we have had this kind of pattern of dry and then an awful lot of rain, and our ground is super saturated now. We're kind of sloshing around out there in 2 and 3 inches of mud, and with just water on the top of it. It's not draining fast enough, that's for sure. So Sarah, I'm just going to go back to a bit of an earlier conversation. Sarah is saying that she likes Jamie's canning video. So this is Jamie at Gilbert Farm. It is a really good one. So it's Guildbrook Farm, and I'm pretty sure the video is called Canning 101. And that's oh, I got a really squeaky chair. That's was unexpected. It doesn't usually squeak this much. Maybe it does and I don't notice it. So no, I'm just amusing myself now. Anyway, I have now between the two live chats done almost an hour. It is definitely time. I got another drink and a cup of tea. So I'm heading off now. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully we will do another live chat during the winter. Thanks very much. Bye.